The chair lays out House Bill 594 and The chair lays out House Bill 594 and recognizes Vice Chair Naishtat to explain House Bill 594.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Currently, Texas patients suffering from chronic and debilitating pain associated with multiple sclerosis or cancer or AIDS or Parkinson's disease or muscle spasms from neurological disorders or eye pressure from glaucoma or nausea associated with chemotherapy, and who use marijuana to ameliorate their symptoms, these people must do so at the risk of facing criminal prosecution. Furthermore, under current Texas law, doctors cannot freely discuss the use of marijuana with their patients because they risk being reprimanded and possibly losing their medical license. Solution. This bill would create an affirmative defense to prosecution for patients who are being treated by a licensed physician and who use marijuana to ameliorate the effects of a bona fide medical condition. The patient, if arrested, would have to prove in court that he or she was suffering from a bona fide medical condition and that a physician had discussed or recommended marijuana as an option to alleviate the symptoms of the condition. The doctor could not prescribe marijuana because marijuana is illegal. We're talking about a doctor who discusses or recommends marijuana as an option. The bill would provide protection for physicians licensed in Texas who discuss with a patient the medical use of marijuana as an option to ameliorate symptoms arising out of a bona fide medical condition. So it's important to understand that this legislation doesn't legalize anything. What it does is create an avenue through which an individual with a bona fide medical condition, with a serious disease, who, following a recommendation or a suggestion from his or her doctor, the doctor says, you know, we've tried everything to deal with your nausea. We've tried everything to deal with glaucoma-related eye pressure. We've tried everything to deal with pain associated with your cancer or Parkinson's or multiple sclerosis. They haven't worked. I'm going to suggest that you try something that 17 or 18 other states have authorized the usage of. It might work, it might not. It's marijuana. And I'm going to suggest or recommend that you try it strictly for medicinal reasons, to help you live with your bona fide medical condition, to help you work with your condition. So, there has to be a bona fide medical condition. You have to have your physician who has said, try it. Nothing else has been working. Try it. Give it a chance. So, if you're sitting there in your house and you're using marijuana, and your doctor recommended it, and you get arrested, you get busted. All this bill does, and this is what an affirmative defense is, it says that you can go before a judge in court and say, Your Honor, look at me. I'm not a criminal. I have multiple sclerosis. I'm in a wheelchair. I have AIDS. I have Parkinson's. My doctor suggested I try marijuana. it helps me. The judge would then be authorized, per this legislation, to dismiss the charges, to say, go home. So again, this doesn't legalize anything, but it creates an avenue, a mechanism through which an individual with a bona fide medical condition, and that would be determined by your physician and yourself. You have a bona fide medical condition, your doctor has suggested that you try it, it's working, and you get busted. You go before a judge, you say, Your Honor, please look at me. My doctor recommended this, it's helping me, I'm not a criminal. The judge would then be able to make a determination as the doctor had. Is this a bona fide medical condition? Did the doctor suggest that you try it? And if the answer to those questions are yes, the judge would be able to. He wouldn't have to, but the judge would be authorized, per this legislation, to dismiss the charges and let you go home. That's what the bill does.
Okay, members, questions for Vice Chair Naishtat? Okay, thank you very much. Yes, and the chair recognizes Representative King joining us and making sure that for the record.
Chair Naishtat, I have a question. Thank you, Madam Chair. So, you asked this question a lot. How many other states have a statute similar to this? Do you know?
There are 18 states which have either authorized the use of marijuana or legalized marijuana for medicinal purposes. 18 states. As you know, there are 2 states who recently have legalized marijuana for recreational use, the state of Washington and Colorado.
Right.
This has nothing to do with legalizing marijuana or anything. It creates this affirmative defense so that people who are legitimately ill and whose doctor has said, why don't you try it, can continue to do so without having to worry about getting arrested, knowing that if they get arrested, they can go in front of a judge, explain their situation, and the judge would be authorized to say, charges dismissed, go home, you're clearly not a criminal.
Okay, so to follow on what you just said, is the protection for the physician making the statement or suggestion as strong as the protection for the patient who would be cleared in a court of law if they could prove that that was what it was?
The protections in the bill for a physician who recommends or suggests the use of marijuana for medicinal purposes are quite strong.
Thank you.
President Davis.
I understand the concept of the affirmative defense for the person who is arrested for using marijuana under advice of a doctor. What about the person who's selling the marijuana to the person who has been suggested that they, do they also have an affirmative defense?
No, they don't. This has nothing to do with the way that marijuana, it would be in small quantities, is obtained. However, individuals who would seek to use the affirmative defense are obtaining marijuana now, that's their business. This has nothing to do with trying to combat crime. This is simply geared at giving people who are legitimately sick and whose doctor has suggested marijuana and who are using marijuana for that purpose to be able to go on doing this without worrying about being arrested. But if they are arrested, they can go before a judge, say, Your Honor, look at me, I have multiple sclerosis, I'm in a wheelchair, I'm not a criminal, my doctor suggested this, it helps me live, it helps me work, let me go home. And the judge would be authorized to say, you're right, charges dismissed, you can go home.
Members, other questions? Okay. Vice Chair Naishtat, you're in the zone. I mean, you did all that without looking at notes, and very impressive.
Thank you.
Vice Chair Naishtat's pushed very hard for this hearing, and
Thank you for granting
Yes.
me the opportunity,
yes,
Madam
yes,
Chair.
yes, sir. I'm always happy to work with you, and you certainly come with great passion. And so